Happy Halloween, my angels! Or should I actually just say Happy Halloween? I am so kidding. I should definitely just stick to making videos, considering comedy isn't really my thing. Hi my angels, it's Haley Reese, and for today's video we are beginning to dive into our 31 days of Halloween. For those of you who might be new to my channel, basically 31 days of Halloween is 31 days of straight uploading from now until Halloween. For the start of this series, I figured what better video to begin with than talking about the creepy origins of Halloween and where a lot of the traditions that we consider to be normal and all in good fun came from. First and foremost, I know you guys are probably thinking it, I went back to blonde. I know, I never thought that I would, but honestly this fall season just had me super inspired to just go back to my blonde for a little bit, and plus my hairstylist broke her foot so she couldn't continue to do my silver. However, if you guys want to know who did these luscious locks on me, I am going to leave her Instagram in the description box. She is awesome. If any of you are from Toronto and you want hair like this, all you gotta do is just go ahead and hit her up and she will hook you guys up. But without further ado, let's get into the truth about Halloween. So the earliest trace of Halloween dates back to the Celtic festival Samhain. The definition of Samhain is actually summer's end, and it was celebrated on October 31st every single year. Now they believed that on October 31st during Samhain, the separation between the spirit world and the physical world disappeared, and suddenly all of the spirits that had died within the past year were able to roam freely. Now while some people thought of it to just be the spirits that had passed within the past year roaming the earth, others had a more twisted approach, and they believed that all of the spirits from the underworld would actually come to present day and wander around in that time of Samhain. People would leave gifts and food offerings on their doorsteps in exchange of hopefully being left alone by evil or negative spirits, while others actually left their doors open for the entire span of Samhain, hoping that a deceased loved one would find their way back in. Which I find ironic because ghosts don't need you to open the door for them to come in, but hey, who am I to judge? So a whole bunch of people would light this big giant fire in honor of the sun of the summer never burning out, and they would chant and dance around this fire hoping to keep away evil spirits. Now here's where it gets kind of interesting and ties into today's Halloween. People would dress up as witches and ghosts and goblins in hopes of blending in with the spirits that were roaming during this period of time and hopefully being left alone. But the typical costume is not like today. A lot of them dressed up in animal skin and animal heads and hoping to disguise, blend in, dress up. And in this time of dressing up, they would read each other's fortunes. A lot of people believe that not only were the spirit world coming on this day, but the veil between the past, the present, and the future was lifted as well. So it was easy to read each other's fortunes and therefore predict the future. Now the spirits were believed by them to either be entertained by the living or try to possess one of the living. So everybody really tried to dress up in order to disguise themselves, hoping that the spirits wouldn't realize that they were human and in turn wouldn't want to possess them. Now that festival of Samhain would later be adapted in multiple different ways and would lead us to eventually becoming our Halloween. But something I found really interesting, you guys, while I was doing my research was where the jack-o'-lantern came from. Our beloved Halloween pumpkin. Now this has a crazy story behind it that I cannot wait to share with you guys. Now the start of actually carving pumpkins originated from an Irish folk tale about a man named Stingy Jack. There are tons of people who believe the story that I'm about to tell you to be true, while others think it's just an Irish folk tale and really disregard it. But regardless of whether or not you believe it, this is the story that originated us carving our pumpkins. So Jack was said to be stingy. No, I'm kidding. I mean, obviously it was meant to be stingy, but Jack was said to be really mischievous and really manipulative, and he was a drunk. And when he would drink, he would love to pull these elaborate schemes on people. There was nobody that Stingy Jack could not pull a scheme on. It is said that he was so mischievous and so good at being mischievous that the devil himself came to Jack, and Jack knew right away who he was. So Jack invited the devil to go for a drink. Now while they're drinking, all is good. The devil's trying to negotiate with him to come to hell, pretty much. And he seems to play along with it. Now eventually, when it comes time to pay the tab, Stingy Jack lives up to his name and decides he doesn't want to pay the tab. He doesn't want to pay for what they've done. So he tricks the devil. I mean, I don't know how that works, but he tricks the master of all deceit, the master of all tricks, and basically convinces him that he has a way around either of them having to pay. Stingy Jack convinces the devil to turn himself into a coin in which Jack would use to pay for their drinks. So the devil does exactly that. He changes himself into a coin. But Jack decides to put the coin into his pocket where he kept a silver cross, and that therefore trapped the devil in the coin because he was unable to exit while touching the cross. Now I really like that concept because it goes to show you that good will always overpower evil and that God is always stronger than the devil, but hey, I'm probably the only one that took that from that story. Let's continue. So finally the devil really wants to get out of this coin. I mean, obviously he's got things he thinks he needs to do. So Jack and him make a deal. They make a bargain. And I've read two different versions where like the time frame is off. So some say that it's for 1 year, some say that it's for 10 years. I find 10 years an extremely long span. So for the sake of my version, I'm gonna say 1 year, but you're up to believe whatever you choose. The devil then agrees that he will not bother Jack at all for 1 year if he lets him out. So Jack goes, you know what? I'll let you out. He removes the cross off of the coin and poof, he's back out. Now he lived up to his promise and he left Jack alone for that span of time. Right when that span of time finished, he comes back around Jack and he's trying to renegotiate with him because he wants somebody as manipulative, as schemy, and as like evil as him. Even though I don't really find him evil, I just find him like a troublemaker. So the second encounter and the second conversation between the two of them seems to go pretty much the same. Jack's playing along, he's pretending, yeah, okay, I guess I could do that. And Jack says to him, but before I go to the underworld, before I go to hell, whatever, he's like, I want one last meal of a delicious apple. So the devil's like, okay, I'll get you an apple. And the devil climbs up the apple tree to go and get Jack the apple. Now again, I've heard two versions of this story. One says that Jack then carves the cross into the tree and the devil is stuck in it, while another says that he surrounds the tree with crosses. Regardless, he does something to do with the cross and the devil is now stuck in the apple tree. The irony. So again, he leaves them up there for a while and then they decide that they're gonna re-bargain again. So Jack says, listen, I will let you go out of this tree if you promise to not punish me for what I've done to you and to never send me to hell. And so the devil agrees and Jack lets the devil out of the tree. Now eventually the devil just leaves him alone and Jack winds up dying. And the story goes that when he went to go to heaven, he was denied for all of the things that he had done and the games that he had played and the way that he had went about things. So suddenly he's stuck in the in-between and he goes back to the devil and he's like, hey, you know, and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I promised you that you weren't gonna go there. You're now not allowed in heaven. So you are now stuck in the world of the in-between for all of eternity. But then the devil turns to him and says, hey, you know what? Let me help you out. The devil then hands him a carved out turnip filled with embers of hell, I guess, for him to walk around as a light for eternity. Now the people began to see Jack wandering around with this carved out turnip that was bright and shining light through it because of the ember, the coal inside of it. And so people gave him the name Jack-o'-lantern. And people started to carve out their own turnips, their own pumpkins, and all of the things like that with scary faces on them to ward away Jack-o'-lantern. Now, a ton of people believe that it doesn't just ward off Jack-o'-lantern. It was just the beginning of it, that it actually wards off ghosts and evil. So it had more of a spiritual belief behind it before it became just a fun, cute thing to do. Well, you guys, the first half of today's video with the Celtic celebration and festival is 100% confirmable. However, whether or not this story about Jack, Stingy Jack to be exact, is true or not, I can't tell you. But all I can tell you is that is where this all originated from, and that is why this holiday season, or this Halloween, you're gonna be carving a pumpkin. Well, you guys, that is it for my first video. I have 30 more coming back to back, so make sure to go ahead, click that subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed, and give this video a big thumbs up to encourage me to keep on posting these videos back to back. I'm going to be traveling and staying in some of the most haunted hotels and vlogging it. I'm going to be doing some of the craziest things for you guys this Halloween season, so you definitely do not want to miss out. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.